Imagine waking up on the most important week of your semester. You open your laptop to submit your final exam, and suddenly, your entire school system is gone. No assignments, no grades, no access to your classes, nothing. Works. Now imagine that happening not to one school, but to thousands of schools and universities across the United States at the same time. That's exactly what happened during a massive cyber attack on the Canvas learning platform. Canvas, operated by Canvas LMS in Structure, is one of the most widely used digital learning systems in America. It's where students submit homework, take exams, check grades, message professors, and attend virtual classes. In many schools, Canvas isn't just a tool, it is the classroom. So when the platform suddenly began experiencing outages, login failures, and system disruptions, the impact was immediate and nationwide. Students across multiple states started reporting the same issue. They couldn't access their courses. At first, many thought it was a routine technical problem, maybe a server overload during finals week. But within hours, the situation escalated. Universities began sending emergency alerts. IT departments went into crisis mode, and cybersecurity teams started investigating unusual system activity. That's when the truth started to emerge. Canvas was potentially under a large-scale cyber attack, and the timing couldn't have been worse. This incident happened during one of the most critical academic periods of the year: final exams, project deadlines, and grade submissions. For students, the disruption wasn't just inconvenient, it was stressful, confusing, and in some cases, panic-inducing. Imagine studying for weeks for a final exam, only to be locked out of the system minutes before submitting it. That was the reality for thousands of students. Professors were also affected. They couldn't access assignments. They couldn't upload grades, and in many cases, they had no immediate way to communicate with students through the platform. Entire academic workflows suddenly stopped. Some universities were forced to delay exams. Others extended deadlines at the last minute, and several schools activated backup systems just to keep classes running. But the biggest concern wasn't just disruption, it was security. Because when a platform like Canvas goes down under suspicious circumstances, one question immediately becomes critical. Was this just a technical failure? Or a cyber attack targeting student data? Early reports suggested that a hacking group known as Shiny Hunters may have been involved. Shiny Hunters is a cyber criminal group previously linked to multiple global data breaches involving large organizations and databases. In similar past incidents, the group has been known to steal sensitive data, disrupt systems, and threaten to leak information online. According to early cybersecurity reports, the attackers may have accessed data connected to thousands of educational institutions. This raised immediate concern across the education sector, because even basic student data can be dangerous in the wrong hands. Names, emails, and school IDs can be used for phishing, scams, where attackers impersonate schools or administrators to trick students into giving away passwords or sensitive information. And that makes education systems a growing target for cyber criminals. Unlike banks or financial institutions, many schools operate with limited cybersecurity infrastructure, but they still store massive amounts of personal data from millions of students. That combination, high value data and weaker protection, creates a perfect target. As the attack unfolded, universities across the US began responding in real time. Some paused exams, some switched to alternative platforms, and others issued urgent warnings to students about potential phishing attempts. Meanwhile, cybersecurity teams began trying to trace how the attackers gained access. Was it a vulnerability in the system? A stolen password? Or a compromised third-party integration? At this stage, answers were still unclear. But one thing was certain. This was not a small-scale outage. It was a coordinated disruption affecting education nationwide. And as the situation developed, it quickly became clear that the impact would go far beyond just technical downtime. It would raise serious questions about the security of America's digital education system. In the next chapter, we'll break down exactly how cyber attacks like this happen, who the hackers behind them are, and why schools and universities are increasingly becoming prime targets in the digital world. Behind every major cyber attack, there's a pattern most people never see. Doesn't start with chaos. It starts quietly. inside systems that already exist. In the case of the Canvas cyber attack, involving the widely used Canvas LMS Instructure platform, cybersecurity experts believe attackers likely used one or more common entry methods that target digital education systems. And the reality is, most of these methods don't require advanced, Hollywood-style hacking. They exploit everyday weaknesses. The human weak point, phishing. The most common method is phishing. This is when hackers send fake emails that look completely real. For example, your Canvas account has been locked. Please verify your student login. Urgent. Exam access issue detected. One click on a fake link can give attackers real login credentials, and once they have that, they are inside the system as a trusted user. No alarms, no warning, just access. 2. Stolen passwords. From other websites, another major method is credential reuse. Many people reuse passwords across multiple platforms. If one website gets hacked, those leaked passwords can be tested on other systems, including school platforms. This technique is called credential stuffing, and it works surprisingly often. Weak spots in complex. Systems large platforms like Canvas are not simple. They connect school, databases grading tools, cloud services, authentication. Systems each connection is a potential entry point. Hackers constantly search for hidden software vulnerabilities. Small coding flaws that allow unauthorized access, even one weak point can open the door to a much larger system. Third party. Integrations Canvas doesn't operate alone. It connects with many external tools used by universities. If any connected system is compromised, attackers may use it as a pathway into the main platform. This is one of the most overlooked risks in modern cybersecurity because attackers don't always break the main system. Sometimes they enter through a connected service. Who is behind attacks like this? Early reports linked the Canvas incident to a group known as Shiny Hunters. This group has been associated with multiple global data breaches in the past. Their typical pattern includes gaining access to large databases, extracting user information, and sometimes leaking or threatening to release it. Publicly, unlike destructive hackers who crash systems immediately, groups like this often focus on data theft and leverage. That means the goal is not always to destroy, but to extract value. Why? Schools are easy. Target cybersecurity experts have been warning for years that education systems are vulnerable. And the reason is simple. Schools hold massive amounts of sensitive data, including student identities, academic records, communication, logs, login credentials, but many institutions don't have the same level of cybersecurity funding as banks or corporations. That gap creates opportunity. Hackers know it, and they exploit it. What likely happened? During the Canvas attack, based on early analysis, the attack likely followed a common sequence. First, attackers gained access through a weak point, possibly phishing, or a system vulnerability. Then they moved quietly through parts of the system, looking for valuable data. After that, disruptions began. Login failure, system outages, access issues during peak academic periods. At that point, universities likely began emergency shutdowns or restrictions to prevent further damage. That's why the impact appeared suddenly across multiple schools at the same time. It wasn't random, it was coordinated. Why? This matters beyond technology. This wasn't just a system failure. It directly affected students' lives. Exams were delayed, assignments were disrupted, graduation timelines were at risk. And for many students, their entire academic progress depends on platforms like Canvas working properly. That's what makes this type of cyber attack so serious. It doesn't just break software, it breaks the rhythm of education itself. The moment Canvas went down, it wasn't just a tech issue anymore. It became a nationwide academic emergency. Across the United States, students trying to submit final exams suddenly found themselves locked out of their courses on the widely used https://www.instructure.com Canvas. Assignments disappeared. Exams stalled. Grades became inaccessible, and communication between students and professors started breaking down. For many students, it felt like their entire semester had just frozen in place. The student panic across campuses. Imagine being in the final week of your semester. You've studied for weeks. Your exams are scheduled. Deadlines are set. Then suddenly, everything stops working. That's what thousands of students experienced during the cyber attack. Some couldn't log in at all, others lost access mid-exam, and many had no idea when things would be restored. Universities quickly started receiving flooded emails from confused and anxious students asking one question: what is happening to Canvas? How universities responded in real time. As the situation spread, schools across the country had to react immediately. Some universities delayed final exams, extended submission deadlines, switched to backup systems, or paused grading entirely. IT departments worked non-stop trying to stabilize systems and restore access safely. Professors were also forced into emergency adjustments. Many had to re-upload assignments, manually change grading policies temporarily, or communicate through email instead of Canvas. For large universities with tens of thousands of students, this became a massive coordination challenge. The bigger fear was student data exposed. While system outages were the first problem, a bigger concern quickly followed: data security. Cybersecurity reports link the attack to a hacking group known as Shinny Hunters, a group previously associated with large-scale data breaches. Investigators believed attackers may have accessed student names, email addresses, institutional IDs, internal communication data. Even if sensitive financial data was not confirmed as stolen, the exposure of basic identity information is still serious, because that data can be used later for phishing scams, fake school emails, account takeovers, identity-based fraud. Why this attack matters so much? This wasn't just another cybersecurity incident. It exposed something deeper: how dependent education has become on digital systems. Today, platforms like Canvas are not optional tools. They are the foundation of modern education. That means one platform outage can disrupt entire universities, one breach can affect millions of students, and one cyber attack can ripple across an entire country. The weak point in digital education, experts say, education systems are especially vulnerable because they store huge amounts of sensitive data, they operate with limited cybersecurity budgets, and they rely heavily on third-party platforms. Unlike banks or major corporations, universities often prioritize accessibility and speed over strict security layers. That creates gaps, and hackers know how to find them. What cybersecurity experts are warning now following the Canvas incident, cybersecurity professionals are emphasizing three major concerns. 1. Education is now a major cyber target. Schools are no longer secondary targets. They are now primary targets for data theft and disruption. 2. Attacks will likely increase. As more learning moves online, the attack surface continues to grow. 3. Prevention is more important than reaction. Waiting for an attack is no longer enough. Systems must be proactively protected. What this means for the future of education, the Canvas cyber attack is a warning sign, not just for one company, but for the entire education system in the United States. In the future, schools may need stronger authentication systems, better encryption of student data, continuous security monitoring, and improved cyber awareness training for students and staff, because the reality is simple. Education is no longer just physical classrooms and textbooks. It is digital infrastructure, and digital infrastructure must be protected like critical national systems. Final thought: this cyber attack didn't just shut down a platform. It disrupted classrooms. It delayed futures. And it exposed how fragile modern education systems can be when targeted. And as universities recover, one question remains. If one platform can cause this much disruption, what happens if the next attack is even bigger?